Hey, good afternoon. Welcome in. Gabe DeArmond, Jarod Hamilton here for the final time live with you in 2022 to talk Mizzou football. So I guess we'll just start here, Jarod, real quick. Other than the game, how was Tampa? Because I know the game wasn't any good.
Yeah, to be honest, that was probably the most. I don't know. That game was just some parts were really long. It was kind of boring. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie to you, but Tampa, it was cool. It's cool to be inside an NFL stadium, like in it, not just in the seats and stuff. So that was the first time that was cool. It was still kind of chilly there. Obviously, not as much as it was up here for you guys, but it
Right.
was like 40 degrees. And every time we passed a security guard or something, they'd be like, "We're so sorry, it's so cold." Like I was wearing a suit. I haven't worn a suit in a long time, but I was just like, for this game, I'll wear a suit. And they were just like, "You don't got no jacket on?" I'm like, "No, trust me,
Right.
I'm good.
This
I'm
is
good."
tropical. Yeah.
Yes.
Suits are reserved for when people get married or people die. That's my rule. Maybe bigger games than the Gasparilla Bowl. But I want to invite you guys, if you're here watching with us live, to hit up the comment section, questions. Look, we're going to talk a little bit about the season. This is probably mostly going to be an off season, what's coming next show. But anything you guys want to talk about, make sure to put it in there. We will get to it. Also, do want to remind you guys, hey, we've seen a lot of announcements of guys coming back. A lot of recruiting things have happened. The portal's going on. We all know that all revolves around name, image, and likeness these days. And James Carlton, who is our partner on these shows, he knows that too. He's a big Mizzou fan. The first thing he wants to do is take care of your insurance needs. His information will be across the bottom of the screen throughout, carltoninsurance.net. Phone number at 314-961-4800. So he wants to do that first for you and make sure he can get you the best rate that he can find on your insurance. But he also wants to help out Mizzou and help out you guys, make you guys be a little bit happier day to day. And you do that by getting players, and you do that with NIL. So if you call James and you get a quote from him, you mention PowerMizzou, tell him that's where you heard about it. He's going to donate $20 on your behalf to Mizzou's name, image, and likeness collective. And they'll get all the players. They will hire NFL assistants as offensive coordinators, and we will be off and running to next year's college football playoff, obviously. So, real quick, look, we've spent a lot of time breaking down this season. Just kind of real quick, best thing, worst thing about this year. I don't care, particular game, particular player, whatever. What Missouri fans should feel the best about, what they should feel the worst about.
See, the best thing was the defense in that kind of 180 and how they were in so many games despite the record, not being what they wanted to be. They were in a lot of games. I mean, we got the Kansas State game was an outlier. What's another game where they lost and it was a blowout?
Tennessee.
In Tennessee, yeah, duh. So besides those two games, you feel like every game either they were winning it or they had a chance to win it. Now, the bad part about the defense is some of those players are going to be gone that made them so good. So DJ Coleman, Isaiah McGuire. I'm thinking to myself, probably Trajan's gone.
Yeah.
Darius Robinson said he's going to announce on New Year's. To me, if you're doing something like that to be all grand on the first day of the year, that sounds like the draft to me. And Tyron Hopper, he hasn't said anything, but the season he put up, I mean, I'd see him as like a mid-round. What do you got him like? Like three?
I'm bad. I'm
Three,
so bad
four?
at this, man. I
I,
really am.
well, I think if Chris Abrams Jane got a third round grade, which I thought was a little high, like
Yeah.
I mean, he's good, but I thought it was a little high. I think Tyron can be in that range too. So depending on what he values himself, he could go or stay. But I mean, the defense and just being in so many games, and the bad part was obviously the offensive
Right.
line, the penalties, the things that made them lose the games they were in that they didn't win, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I would say obviously the good is Blake Baker, and they showed you that you can have a turnaround in a year. The bad for me is just, and I wrote about this on Monday, is we're here at the end of year 3, and I don't know what I think. I mean, you can make an argument that you feel good and, hey, they're close and next year is a step forward and all that. And I can buy that argument. It makes sense. But you can also make the argument that, man, we're 3 years in and I don't know that they're better than they were the day he took the job. And I don't know kind of what the plan is. So it's all, I just want, all I want out of next year is an answer. Whatever that, if that answer is 10-2 and Eli is the man here, as long as he wants to be the man here, hey, that's great for us. We'll be very happy with that. If that answer is 4-8 and they make a coaching change, at least it's an answer. I just felt like this year was like just kind of treading water, and you didn't fall down the stairs, but you didn't go up any stairs either, and that I feel like that's the worst kind of season. That's like an NFL team that's going 8-8, like, either win the Super Bowl or get the top pick, man. But this 8-8, 6-7 stuff, don't love it. So we'll have some questions off-season wise and stuff. I already see him, and again, guys, appreciate it, and we will get to them. Just want to kind of do a few things off the top here first. Going into the off-season, what's your biggest question about this team?
They're going to hire an offensive coordinator, and when are they going to hire? I mean, that's probably everybody's big question. I guess if you're looking at it as a overall.
Mine's quarterback, and it might tie in.
Yeah,
right?
That's
because
pretty close.
I don't think you can get a transfer quarterback if they don't know who the OC is.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
I think that's a holdup. I mean, I know you did your kind of way too early, and like, look, we've said it's freaking December. We don't know who's starting. But, your projection as of today was Brady Cook. I was asked in my mailbag, I said, if I had to make a projection, I think it'll be Sam Horn. Just because I think at some point, man, you gotta find out, right? And if he doesn't start next year, maybe that tells us they know and they don't think he's the guy. I don't know. But I just think it's such a ridiculously important position that it just kind of overshadows everything else. I mean, more than anything else, if you can tell me he gets quarterback right next year, I will feel much more confident about the direction of this program.
Right. Here's why I said Brady Cook. And again, guys, way too early predictions. I mean, we're not even in the start of the new year. College football playoff hasn't happened. So just keep that in mind. I was only using things that I've probably heard throughout the year, I've seen or something like that. That's why some people didn't get mentioned. Doesn't mean they won't get a chance to be in the rotation or start. But why I said Brady Cook was because remember how to start the year, and I think you said this on the other podcast with Maggie and Tucker, that he said early in the year, okay, we're going to be more explosive. We're going to try to do plays and all that. And like you said, it took a game and a half for that to be thrown out the window and be all conservative. So if his mindset is, being conservative, like, yeah, the thought is to throw out a Sam Horn or something like that. But if he starts thinking, well, Brady Cook has a year of experience, I already know what he can do. Maybe we can win this game or get to this record by week 6 or 7. Then I'm going to do that. That's kind of where my thinking is as of this moment before spring football and all that.
He is risk averse, and I would like to see that change. Now, that's easy for me to say because it's not my $6 million salary on the line. It's a lot easier for me to take risks with his job than it is for him to do it. But I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that change because I don't think at Missouri in the SEC you can just go by the book and line up and beat everybody else. I think you've got to do some things out of the ordinary, and I'm not sure, hey, playing your 4-star redshirt freshman quarterback, I don't know that that's out of the ordinary, but I would like to see him take a few more chances with things than I think he has taken so far. Offensive coordinator, I think is certainly a thing. You mentioned Darius Robinson. My thought is, I think he's probably going to the NFL, but also when I saw that tweet, I thought, man, I don't know if it's the right way to go about it to tell your fan base, hey, I'm going to make my announcement in 3 days. and then to tell him you're leaving. So, like, the fact that he said that made me think, I don't know, man, maybe he's going to do this one more year. Like, Ennis and Chris Abrams-Drain and Carlisle have all said they're coming back. Maybe they just say, let's keep the band back together and see how good we can be.
I mean, yeah, it depends. Whatever lens you're trying to look through it. I don't know if I was going to be all dramatic and say I was going to NFL. Not that I would, because I understand this side, but just of how we've seen recruits and players do these type of things, being all grand and stuff seems on brand for these guys, and them not thinking about why we don't like it. So I mean, yeah, I'm going to the draft in a couple months. And I'm saying that on the first day of the year, everybody's already going to be happy anyway because it's the new year. Right. So I can see why he says that.
Well, and here's the thing. Like, I know fans will say, well, if he comes back next year, he could be all SEC. Like, he could help his stock so much. I don't know I don't know how much you change your stock. I mean, by that point, you're 23 years old. You're a year older. Like, I don't know if let's say he's a 4th round pick this year, and I don't know if that's right. But if he comes back next year, I guess he could play himself into a 1st or 2nd round pick, but I don't know.
And we got to keep in mind what's the East-West Shrine Bowl, like him being in that. I mean, I'm not going to act like I've been paying attention to the East-West Shrine Bowl forever. Right. But if you're in that game, would you not leave? Is that not like leaving?
It would be likely. I did check with a friend of mine who covers the NFL and the NFL draft, and he said you can participate in these things and come back. It's fairly unusual, but it is theoretically possible that you can do it. So we'll see.
I have something for you real quick. Kind of going back to things we're looking for next year. Quarterback coach. And I say that because obviously they're going to need one, but Sam Horn's development and how we kind of just this whole season, I've never really felt like we know where he is, whether that's in the playbook, whether that's in his accuracy or whatever it may be, and why he didn't get some of those snaps besides, a series, one series versus Arkansas. So I think that's also pretty big too.
I think that your quarterback coach and your offensive coordinator are the same guy. I think that's the way you want it to. I mean, your OC, he should work most closely with your quarterback. So I think in most situations, the offensive coordinator is also probably going to coach the quarterbacks. That would be my guess. But yeah, it'll be fascinating to see. I mean, I hope we get to see some spring football and actually see Sam Horn throw a ball against a live defense and things like that. I don't know what the rules are going to be. They might kick us out after stretching again. Like, we legitimately may never see Sam Horn throw a pass. Who knows? The highlight might have been, getting Barrett Bannister's head knocked off against Abilene Christian. Like, I don't know if they're going to let us watch practice. So, but I would love to get a firsthand look. And from everything I've heard, like, I mean, I know people hated this, but all season long we just said, look, guys. We're hearing he's not ready. Like, he's just not ready to play. And I heard from various places over the bowl practices that they really felt like he had made a lot of strides in those. I guess it would have been 5-6 weeks since the Abilene Christian game. So that's encouraging. Ultimately, it'll come down to spring.
Wait, Abilene Christian or Arkansas?
I don't know. Whenever he played, that was Abilene Arkansas. Christian, right?
Arkansas.
No, he didn't play against Arkansas.
Sam Horn?
Yeah.
Not Arkansas, New Mexico State.
New Mexico State, not Abilene Christian. You're right. Okay. So it was neither one of them. Yeah, but yeah. New Mexico State. Shout out from Jarod. He's tossed us a few of these super chats along the way. Really appreciate that. Jarod, thank you for being here every week and being a part of it. And we do appreciate the tips. Certainly we do not require or request them, but we also, I mean, I'm not going to tell you we turn them down. I don't send that money back. So certainly appreciate that from you, Jarod. So this is kind of a weird deal before we get to the actual football questions. Did you see the pictures of the icicles and stuff coming out of the press box?
Yeah, they're pipe Their pipe
Yeah.
burst. And after I told you about my situation a week or two ago, I'm really familiar with that. So they need to get
Yeah.
that fixed ASAP. Hopefully, in a better time of day than when mine happened. But
Right.
doesn't sound great.
Yeah, I assume there are some pictures out there on Twitter. I retweeted one of them yesterday. Like they had a pipe break on the west side, and there's huge icicles hanging out the windows and stuff.
Hmm.
Look, man, there's already enough danger in that press box between the hot dogs and the coat hangers that I have major bruises on both arms from over 19 years. I don't also need icicles falling on me there. We got to get that fixed by September. That's my only goal.
Maybe that's something we need to add to what Missouri needs to get fixed. Well, no offense to them, I know they're working hard, but this lunch menu for the games, man. We need to get somebody in there who can throw some seasoning on
See,
some of these things and make this menu a little bit better.
See that's the beauty of living a mile and a half from the stadium, though. You just eat before you go. You eat when you
Exactly.
get home, and the halftime cookies are good enough, man. As long as the
They
vultures
will
didn't
get
get
you
them all in
through.
the second quarter.
They'll get you through.
So, all right. So this is more a question for Jarod than it is for me because I didn't work that hard on Friday. How long you sleep when you got back from Tampa?
Okay, so dang, after the game, I was probably up until maybe like 3 o'clock working on those stories because of course it was a late game and computer was, I've been telling you my computer struggle. So I was up till 3 o'clock. When I got back, it was like 4 or 5 o'clock, and the games were all the NFL games were on Saturday. So I didn't really sleep too much because the NFL is my piece. So I'm gonna watch every second of that. So I don't know. I knew I slept good Sunday. Though going into
Yeah.
Sunday, I slept pretty well for Christmas, but
It really is, man. Like the last couple weeks they're the busiest weeks of the year. I mean, it's like they just packed everything into those 2 weeks, but it's also I've gotten used to this a little bit, but it always kind of catches me off guard covering a college football season. It's this like 13-week sprint where you never really relax, and then all of a sudden you're just like, yo, it's already over. Like they don't play again for 8 months. It's a
yeah,
really weird deal.
that's what I'm thinking. Does this mean my first season on? Is it technically over football wise? It's not a
Football
full year.
wise, it's over now.
Wow. Okay. I'm
Yeah,
no longer a rookie then.
yeah.
Okay.
Now news wise, like I'll
Yeah.
just say this, guys, it's
The
better
real
for you if
work.
we get no news for a couple weeks. Like good news doesn't happen this time of year. The good news will come after the national title game. I mean, other than kids like tweeting out, "Hey, I'm coming back," which is apparently a thing everybody does now because everybody's a free agent, so they might as well say they're coming back too. But other than that, wait till after the national title game for most coaching movement and transfer visits and stuff like that will be happening in January. So we are in a little bit of a lull. AU Stock wants to know, is it encouraging that 3 guys are coming back and we haven't had that many transfers out? I mean, I think it's got to be. I would not have said after the Arkansas game that they were going to get KAD, Rakestraw, and JC all back.
Yeah. No. Although, to be honest, the way JC played to end the season, the last 3 or 4 games from like Tennessee on, I was thinking you need to bring it back, sir. I mean, he's got the tools. It doesn't mean he's a bad free safety, but there's some things where he can clean up, like all of them can. But he didn't finish the season probably the way he wanted to. So getting those 3 guys back, getting Chad back, their Mike, that's pretty important.
Yeah.
That's good. And no flips. No flips.
Right. And, I mean, lost Lovett, lost, I don't know. That's really the only
Yeah, they lost Lovett, and then they lost Nicholson, they lost Jelani Williams, but they lost those were, depth pieces.
I mean, like I can argue the second most impactful transfer out was Jack Stonehouse so far.
Oh yeah, now
You
they'll have to feel that, but I mean they could get
right, but that's what I'm saying. If your punter is the second
right.
biggest one, then you've done well. Now, look, I still think, like, I don't think they're out of the woods there. I mean, I feel pretty good that probably no other starters are leaving. Although, again, I'm keeping an eye on quarterback because I'm not 100% convinced that everybody in that room is back next year. But but I do still think there will be some other announcements that kids are leaving. I don't think they will be like major impact players.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're just waiting on Robinson and Cook and probably Jeff Coat. I mean,
yeah, and like Cook, like I think he's probably coming back, but and he's the type of kid, I don't think he'll announce that he's coming back, right? I think he'll just, well, yeah, I'm coming. Of course I don't think there will be some grand announcement, hey, I'm returning. I think the only way we see an announcement out of Brady is if he's not. But I think we'll see some guys. I guess technically they lost Toski Dove to the transfer portal. I guess you can talk about how big a deal you think that, but like I never thought he was coming back next year.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing is he's a starter. He blocked. He was there for a lot of blocking plays. I mean, but
yeah,
definitely a down year from, I guess, what's now 2 seasons ago. So it's not a huge thing.
Yeah, and so I think you could see some other. I mean, like, look, I've got to think Elijah Young transfers, Luke Griffin, some guys like that. But I don't think. I think they've dodged the bullet largely as far as major impact transfers outside of Dom Lovett. And I don't mean to downplay that because that's kind of a big deal,
Which is crazy now that everybody does this little videos, because if they don't do a video, now I'm thinking, like I asked you the other day, like Charleston's coming back, right? And we haven't heard nothing that Charleston wouldn't come back. But if they don't do a video, I'm like, are they coming back? It's annoying.
It's crazy, man. It is crazy. But again, D-Rob taking it to a new level with the announcement that he's going to make an announcement. So
the pre-announcement announcement.
What I'm waiting for next is the kid that says, I will announce when I'm announcing in 3 days. So it'll happen. I actually saw it was Travis Hunter that said, I will announce my commitment when I get to 100,000 YouTube followers.
That's smart.
But I would intentionally have unfollowed him. Like I would have not wanted him to get to 100,000.
Yeah, I would have never been a subscriber or any of that. But like for him on his part, like,
yes,
take advantage of the game. I get it.
No, I understand why they do it. It's an attention grab, but they get the attention, so it works. So I get why they do it. It's just
because of those 100,000, who do you think? How many unfollow him for real after that?
Right.
Either they're just going to be like, oh, he's here, or maybe like a couple thousand, if that.
Yeah. I mean, look, man, I'm old, so I can be crabby about stuff like that. Mizzou fan number 7 says, does Eli hire an OC? I mean,
he better.
I think so.
He better. He better. I mean, 23 points per game before Bush was taking over. Then you drop 17 to the 95th ranked defense. I know he was missing. He's missing Lovett, but besides that, all his offensive pieces were there, right?
I mean, they got 2 linemen hurt during the game. But.
Well, yeah, but and then that's just a recruiting thing and a getting the players ready thing. But if he had an offensive coordinator to help with that,
I think you hire an OC for this reason, because it allows you to focus, whether it's 1 hour a week or 7 hours a week, on other things, on running the whole program. And every coach will tell you that you think you know what's involved in that, but then once you actually start the job, like it's a whole different level. I mean, I remember sitting in Barry Odom's office starting his second year, and he said, I thought I knew, but I didn't have the grasp of like how much time I'm spending at booster club meetings and shaking hands and doing this and doing that. And he's like, you really have to be intentional about, carving your time out on football. So I think if Eli has a guy who he's in charge, I don't even care if he calls plays. I don't care who calls the plays, because I don't think they're idiots. I think Eli understands football. I think he should call the touchdown play more than he did. But, I mean, whoever calls plays on Saturday isn't the issue. It's the issue of Sunday through Friday being able to devote his time to the entire football program as opposed to, focusing on that one piece.
Couldn't agree more.
Also, here's the thing I just thought of a couple days ago. Here's why I'd hire an OC. Because you know who fans like to bitch at the most? It's the coordinators. Like, if he just hires an OC, even if he calls the plays, if they're not good on offense, people are going to be mad at the OC. They're not going to be mad at him. Come on, man. You send me texts every day trying to fire Steve Spagnuolo. You hate the coordinator.
Listen. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. Andy's an offensive coach, so there's like that's separate. If we were talking about the enemy, like I don't know, like you'd still be like Andy, and Travis Kelce just confirmed that it's Andy calling these plays on the last pod, so we know. So if it was Drink and somebody else, I'd still be like, "Well, Drink, this is your side of the ball. You could overrule him." I don't know.
I'm kind of joking, but it is a way to take some heat off, I think.
Right.
Hiring an OC, even if it's in title only, I think kind of pacifies some people and takes some heat off. Let's see. Kyle's asking about Garrett Riley. Look, I don't know why Garrett Riley would take the Missouri job as the OC. I mean, he's the OC of a team that's in the college football playoff right now. I think he's probably pretty happy where he's at TCU. Could be wrong. We got a Paul Feinbaum comment, so this is big. Paul Feinbaum said that Eli still has a very bright future as a head coach, but needs to start winning. I mean, yeah. I mean, I've got a very bright future as a guy that's 6 foot tall, but I need to start growing.
Mizzou fan number 7, if you would have just said that whole sentence and removed Paul Feinbaum, still would have been relevant, still would have been valid points. So, I mean, that's great. I know, Paul, you guys know my little appearance on the show, but I mean, that's true. We knew that.
Here's that comment to me. Just say he needs to start winning. That's it. That's it. He needs to start winning. Because if he doesn't start winning, then he could down the road still be a good coach somewhere, but he needs to start winning. And along those lines, Brandon wants to know, how many wins does he need next season to keep his job? So I wrote a lot about this on Monday. So I'm going to tell you where I come down on this. And let's be clear. It's not like I've always said, if you're saying, well, if he wins 7, I'll keep him, but if he wins 6, I'm going to fire him, then you should just fire him anyway. Because if it comes down to one game, then that's dumb. You don't have the right guy. So putting a finite number on it is not the best way to approach it. But for me to feel good, I think they need to win 7 games for me to feel like there's progress being made. Now, again, could they go 6-6 and I look at them and say, well, they're a much better team than they were last year, so I feel good? Sure. But it seems unlikely. I want to see a winning record in the regular season.
Yeah. That point you just made about going 6-6 and feeling better? No, because it'd be going on 4 years of that. And
but I'm just saying, okay, let's say they finish 6-6 and legitimately, I've seen this happen. Let's say they go 6-6 and one of those losses happens because of a blatant bad call on the very last snap of the game. Then, I mean,
even then, that sounds like this year, because you can say Auburn, Kentucky with those types of losses. I know there weren't. Well, Mevis's missed kick was end of regulation.
Right, but I'm talking about something that legitimately it gets taken away from them.
Yeah, I still think to me it's 8. Because him winning 7, I don't know if he wins 8, but to me it feels like, so he wins 7. So let's say he wins this bowl game or whatever that makes him over the top. The bowl game's cool, but it still feels
I'm just talking regular season.
Oh, okay.
Bowl game doesn't figure into it for me.
Okay. Then yeah, I can still see 7. Although if I was to categorize what's bad and then it's good, up to 5 wins is bad, and then 8 or more wins are good, but 6 and 7 still feels
it's kind of in that. But so let me kind of continue and paint this. So let's say they're 6-6, but Sam Horn's your starter from day one, and he struggles in the first 3 weeks. And I don't know the schedule off the top of my head, but let's say they start 2-3 or whatever. But then they rebound. They win 4 of their last 7. Sam Horn, gets much better in the last 4 weeks of the season. Luther Burden puts up 1,000 yards. That's the type of scenario where I'm saying, okay, I can live with 6-6 because I see things that are happening. But if you just say how many wins, my number for next year is 7. They need 7 wins.
Gabe, you know what that sounds like? Sounds like this season.
I know.
It
but
sounds like
I know.
Brady Cook, and then they got a 1,000-yard or near 1,000-yard receiver and somebody you expect. Sounds like deja vu to me.
I know. I know. And ultimately, look, my answer to this question always ends up being like the government definition of pornography. I'll know it when I see it. If he should keep his job, I'll know it by watching his team. And if he shouldn't, I'll know it by watching his team. That's kind of where I come down on it. Cody says a couple things with Drink on the excitement. Love seeing guys coming back. Running out the same offensive guys makes me less excited. So, I don't think that's going to, but that's part of what I'm talking about. Why I would, if it's even, I'd start Sam Horn because it does give you some excitement, but they're going to go out and get some transfers. But, when we're looking at, hey, Armand Mimbo, and hey, if they can get Foster and Delgado back, we're like, you can't just run back this same offense, man. It wasn't good enough. And you can't count on everybody getting better.
That's for sure. Yeah, looking at these PFF grades, man, I forgot who it was, but I had added back into the last PFF article one of the pass blocking grades, and it may have been for Tolleson or Walters or something. And their grade, guess what their pass block grade was?
Not high.
3.
Ooh, that's rough.
That's the lowest
let's
number.
Just not put a name on that one. We don't know who it was.
Oh yeah, it was pretty bad. So you can't guarantee that. They definitely need some. And for Javon Foster's sake, I don't know. I would be so conflicted because I think if he's like your second or third best on the line, it's a really good line. But if he's your best player on the line, it's not great.
Well, and what I always go back to in situations like this is I go back to being a Royals fan, coming off the World Series in 2015. So they did this thing where they brought all these guys back, and fans just assumed, oh, well, look what Hosmer and Moose and Gordon have done the last 2 years. They're just automatically going to be better because it's the next year, so they're better. Well, no, some of those guys were worse, right? Lorenzo Cain started to go back. Alex Gordon fell off a cliff. Guys don't just get better every year. Like Eli's favorite saying this year is success isn't linear, right? So, okay, Brady Cook had 3,200 yards of total offense, whatever his number were this year. That does not mean he's automatically going to have 3,600 next year. Or Cody Schrader ran for 700 yards. That doesn't mean he's running for 900 next year. Some guys are going to get worse. It happens to every team in the country. And it's why forecasting things is so pointless, especially from an emotional standpoint, because what fans do is look at their team and assume everyone's going to get better and all the recruits are good and they assume the best. And then everybody else they look at and go, well, those guys are leaving. There's nobody to replace them. They're going to suck. So we look at best case for our teams and worst case for other teams, and it leads us to these faulty assumptions. I don't even know what the question was that led us to get to this point, but I think they need to win 7 games next year. Let's see. Carpe Donnelly says the worst thing that happened to Drink was Dennis Gates. Now everyone thinks you can go 0 to hero in one offseason. I don't agree with that. It's a different sport, man. You got 13 guys on a basketball roster. You got 85 dudes on scholarship in football. You've got 20. Let's pare it down. You've got 11 guys on every play. If one of those 11 guys screws up, the play might suck. In basketball, if one of your 5 guys screws up, you might just have Kobe Brown get unconscious for a night and score 31 points anyway. So I don't buy the one sport against the other thing.
Right. And even I know, like, what was it, 7 wins versus like very easy competition for Mizzou, basically to start 7, 8 wins, and then
7-8.
you got you do got what, the UCF win, the Illinois win, and then the
And Wichita
Illinois
State was solid.
Wichita State, because that was the first opponent that you knew kind of that could play basketball, I guess. So it's 3-1 really is what I'm seeing versus
Yeah,
what
that's fair.
Drink has, and they still have this whole SEC slate of games to go through, and it's not even a new year, so can't say that just yet. But I get
the
what
new guy's always the favorite. And look, I'll be honest, man. Like Dennis Gates being good is good for Eli Drinkwitz. Eli Drinkwitz being good is good for Dennis Gates. Like that. I mean, if Dennis Gates is good, he's going to have a cool atmosphere that Eli can have a junior day at in February and bring all these kids in and say, "Hey, man, look, this is how our fans feel about sports here." It should be a good relationship. It should not be an adversarial thing like Stoops and Cal fighting about whether it's a football or a basketball school.
Right, and a couple of recruits that I had talked to a couple weeks ago specifically mentioned being at the Mizzou KU game, and how like that atmosphere was like so much different in a good way from the Arkansas game for football. Like it was just something greater, and people really pay attention to those things.
Yeah, for sure. Kyle, any idea if Hopper will stay another year? We kind of talked about that. I don't have any idea. I mean, we talked to Tyron, I think, twice this year. He is not a vocal kid. I don't feel like I know him at all. I have no idea what he's thinking.
Well, he's not vocal with us. I mean, apparently to the players, he's like a jokester and he's like the funniest guy in the world. So I don't know. To me, I'm still thinking eventually he's going to announce soon, because I mean, he really played his way from just like being an SEC linebacker to like he can be somewhere, and he's got the size for it.
He slowed down a little in the second half of the year, I thought, but he had a good year.
He did, but he finished the season with his best game of the season versus Arkansas, where he had like 11, 12, 13 tackles, 2.5 for loss. Like he finished with a bang. So
that's fair. That's fair. Dave wants to know which young prospect surprised you the most in the bowl game. Did you feel like you really got a look at many young guys?
Peanut Houston. I think he had 6 for 39 and a touchdown. And I mean, it was off a great play Brady made. That one touchdown was really good. He got a snap he wasn't expecting, caught it with one hand, kind of just instinctively kept the play going because he wasn't ready for the snap. And then kind of, I want to say this without making y'all go too much, a Mahomes-ish type of thing where it looked like he was going to run in and he just saw Peanut in the back of the end zone, just tossed it for the touchdown. And that's a play that Peanut has to make, though, and be aware of what's going on and not just be like, oh, Brady's going to run it in. It wasn't like that. So I thought Peanut Houston did well.
All right. I just saw this comment. I feel like this is a phenomenal place to end this show. Dennis Gates for offensive coordinator. Perfect, man. I mean, we have solved it. Hey, they do have the 4th best offense in the country. They're scoring. So yeah, I mean, first season's come to a close with me and Jarod. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Not that Jarod just gets 8 months off. I don't want you guys to think that.
Please don't think that. Don't think that because I don't say nothing that I'm not doing any work. I promise you I am.
You'll be seeing plenty of him. We'll have him jump on the shows from time to time. Certainly when stuff happens, we'll do things, but he'll be writing still nonstop on the site and all that. The weekly show, the scheduled shows probably will be a little bit more basketball, a little bit more me and Drew the next few weeks. Drew and I actually will go live after the Kentucky game tonight from Mizzou Arena. But plenty of coverage, a lot of stuff that's going to happen. And, I don't know, for the next 5 weeks, we got a Super Bowl run to follow, but we'll still do some work.
Exactly.
All right, Jarod, appreciate it, man. We will let you go and catch up with you later on.
All right.
All right. So, guys, want to remind you real quick before I head out that James Carlton, State Farm Insurance, his information has been scrolling across the bottom of the screen all through the show. If you're listening on the podcast, I know you can't see that. So you can go to carltoninsurance.net. You can call them at 314-961-4800. James does a lot of stuff for teenage drivers and insurance on that front. but he can take care of any insurance needs you might have in the state of Missouri or the state of Illinois. He's got a great staff of 8 people. Might be a little lighter this week, but I'm sure there's still going to be people there that can answer the phone for you. You're going to talk to a real human being, get all your insurance needs taken care of. And bonus, if you tell him that you heard about him through PowerMizzou or from me, he is going to donate $20 to Mizzou's NIL collective efforts. And that is a good thing for you guys. It's a good thing for Mizzou. It's a good thing for James Carlton. So, hey, everybody comes out happy, right? Appreciate you guys being here all along. And on the way out the door, just going to throw up some of the comments from you guys watching live with us. We see a lot of the same people every week, but always want to add more. And hey, it's not stopping. Portal, coaching carousel, basketball, all that. We are going to be here with you guys, just signing off for this one. So we'll talk to you later on.